So in this demonstration, I'm going to show how two cloud agents, one acting as an issuer, the City of Montreal, is going to send a credential offer to the other cloud agent acting as a holder, the University of Concordia. And I'm going to show how the University of Concordia is going to be able to authenticate the City of Montreal's DID against the City of Montreal's DNS records, as well as how the University of Concordia could use the City of Montreal's DNS records to discover a trust registry, which they will then use to verify the authority of the City of Montreal to issue a particular credential to them. So if I start by going into the settings of the issuer, which is the City of Montreal here, I can see in the profile that they've added their domain name and they've added a trust registry that they want to point people towards. So we're using nborbit.io as a domain name today because we control that domain name and we're able to write records into that domain name system, whereas we don't own the City of Montreal's domain. So what we could see here is once we've done this, we can see that within the DID document for the City of Montreal, we've written some additional data points like their DNS in there, so that when they're interacting with someone else, they could point them towards here for certain purposes. And then we also see here the DNS entries. So the City of Montreal was instructed to write these 4 fields into their DNS. And we could see here that this one should be displaying blue, it's just a bug right now, but these are 4 records that have been written into the DNS using an external system. We're hoping eventually to be able to add the ability for someone to write to their DNS zone directly within a module here, but right now this is happening outside of Orbit to be able to write into the DNS. And I also have a trust registry here, which is the trust registry that's being referred to. So this URL, and if I search in here, I could see it's a simple table which has issuer names, credentials that they're authorized to issue. And so this is the one that we're going to look at here. So you can see the credential that they're authorized to issue. We took that from this particular credential definition, ledger ID. So this was put into the trust registry, and DNS information was put in there as well, including and also the centralized identifier of this issuer. And so if I come back here now, and I'm going to flip over to Concordia's side for a second, and I'm going to be able to see that as the University of Concordia, I have an existing connection with the City of Montreal. So we're going to use this existing connection to perform a credential exchange. And so if I come back to the City of Montreal and I want to issue a credential, so I'm going to go in here and I want to offer a credential to Concordia, and I'm going to add some values to it. Okay, so I filled out the attributes within this credential, and I'm going to send this offer to Concordia. So if I come on the Concordia side, I could just hop in my notifications here. I can see that I've received a credential offer. If I go in the details, I could see this is the credential offer that has come to me by my connection, the City of Montreal. And if I go to accept this, we've now introduced a prompt to ask the holder if they wish to use a trust decision helper, if they need new or any relevant trust inputs to help them to make this trust decision, which in this case is to accept a specific credential from the City of Montreal. So if we go through this decision helper, I don't have to. I could just simply go back and accept the credential. But if I want to use the trust decision helper, because that's what I want to demonstrate today, this is what pops up. And so I've received a credential offer from my connection. This is the name that I have given to my connection within my system here. and I could see there's certain pieces of information that have been retrieved from their DID document. So this is the name that is in their DID document that they put themselves. This is the public DID of theirs, and then the domain name, which was put into their DID document as well, which I had shown in an earlier screen within Montreal's tenant. And I could see they're offering me this credential, so the business license _ Montreal credential. So if I click this button, I'm going to verify that the information in their DID document matches the ones that are in their DNS. So we're doing a query into their DNS zone, and I can see that there's a match between the name that I pulled from their DNS records and the name that was in their DID document. And I could see that there is also a match with their public DID, which was written into their DNS, and the public DID that is part of their DID document. So this adds a bit more authority, because I could say, okay, I have confidence now, or at least more confidence, that the DID that I'm interacting with is actually the owner of this domain, because only the owner of this domain is able to write records into their DNS zone. So I've kind of added a little bit more assurance. Now I have more confidence that, hey, the DID that I'm interacting with is in fact the City of Montreal. This would be the City of Montreal's URL in the real world. So it would give me that additional confidence. And I could also see here that we pulled some trust registries that the issuer pointed us towards. So this was pulled out of the issuer's DNS records as well. And they're saying, hey, if you want to go check in the trust registry, here's one that I'm listed in. Doesn't necessarily mean they're listed in it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's an authoritative trust registry, but it's just a further input that I could use to help me make my trust decision. And so this is the trust registry that we had shown, or I'd shown at the start of this video. So if we go and we now query the trust registry, we're using the trust over IP version 1 specs for these API calls. So we've been able to go against the trust registry. We've been able to confirm a second time that the public DID listed in there is the same public DID that I found in their DNS, which is the same public DID that I found in their DID document. So it's a secondary check here. And I've been able to see that they are authorized to issue the Business License Montreal credential, which they offer to me. So great. Now I have assurance that not only they are who they're claiming to be, but they also have authority to issue this particular credential. And there's much more that would go into this process of, being able to validate the governance of the trust registry, and just more there. But for the time being, out of simplicity, we're just assuming that this is a trust registry that we trust. And so if we do continue, I've now updated the status that I verified the trust registry, and I could accept the credential.